Hey all, I think I'm live. Didn't mean to hit the button yet. And unfortunately, we can see this. So let's take this down. Okay, that's the thing I wanted to check before it went live. Hello. All right. A million things to get ready since I was not ready to go live yet. Welcome. I think it's roughly there. Okay. Why is it just so hard to do this some days? It's just not moving. That's why. Okay. I think we'll call that good enough on things. All right, let's fire up chat, see if anyone can actually hear me. Um, and we'll do a little bit of stuff today. Today is the scruffy quarantine version, along with some good pollen baggy eyes. I thought I'd add that in just for not variety. Okay. And I want to check something here because I think I might have forgotten to set something on there, but I'll be with you in just a second and we'll see what do. I hope everyone's doing okay today. Ha 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 ha, that's interesting. That's what I thought. Forgot to make it public. Okay, well, everyone gets the announcement now. So we'll see if anybody joins us. Okay. All right, so the announcement went out. That would explain why nobody is here yet. So I'll give everybody a couple of minutes to show up. And before I show the little goodies I have, hey, hello, all. Thank you for joining us. I forgot to make things public. Tracy, Dakota, ADV, Nick McMinn, thanks for coming back. Did you guys just get the notice right now, or did you come in anyway, knowing it'd be starting now? Because I forgot to set it to public, and I just set it to public now. And I was kind of wondering, like, wait, why isn't no one here? David, I'll be jumping into that. And it is hot as Hades in here. I'm going to turn on a fan while folks show up. And thank goodness I've got this little dumb thing hanging out my ear. I can still keep talking to everybody. I'll try it on high. Actually, I can try it on low and just blow it right on me. Because no, I'm not going to say it. It was a very crude joke, and they always seem fun and clever when you think of them. And then you go back and listen to it, maybe on a review or someone talks to you about it, and you just shake your head in horror at how stupid it was to say that. All right, let's take a look at who's piling in. Red Clawing Sean, ADV, David, Ashley, Davis Brown, hello. Dakota, I think I said hello before. Rick Crawford, welcome. Robert Pawlowski, good evening. Forrest, hello. Tim Baker, Ryan Boyce, 80_Space V. What's up? Big Red, dude, welcome. Got the notification, was going to come over anyway. Thank you for letting me know. Tracey Thompson, how's it going? $5 super chat. Tracy, it's okay. I'm exhausted. I am beat up. It's funny. It was. I've got like the one right here, 6 foot deep closets. Two of those, 10 feet up, 6 feet deep, decent width, and then another normal size closet, which is huge for a 1 bedroom Manhattan apartment. But it was the every 10-year pull everything out and then find ways to just, I call it better living through verticality, that 7 foot high to 10 foot high space that no one likes to get to because they need a chair. Well, I realized just how many cubic feet of space I have up there. So it's all bringing things up and down, sorting. And of course, it's all the heavy stuff I wanted up there. So it's just tons of, what is it called when you step up, step down, step up, step down? Anyway, those, couple hundred of those, and then lots of reaching and lifting with the arms. So lots of old muscles that are like, "What are you doing?" And I do a light free weight workout every single day, but the muscles are just like, "Okay, no, we're going to take a day off." I still got a lot of stuff to put back in place. Who do we got here? Ryan Boyce, Joel Good, Tracey Thompson. Me too. Just walked 6 miles with the wife. Hate walking, and yeah, that's huge. Wow, 6 miles. That can wear you out. I had to do enough walking. I was an avid runner before the health issues took over on things, and excuse me. Other name 1000. Keep getting ads on every video for the lit mobile power bank. Their online feedback complaints are, shall we say, interesting. Other name 1000 says that. For the lit mobile power bank, is that the one that says what 210 watts, like the most powerful 210 watt mobile power bank, the gallium nitride GAN technology or something? And that was kind of made me shake my head because the most powerful 210 watt power bank. Well, wouldn't every 210 watt power bank be just as powerful as the other? So maybe there are no 210 watt power banks, or all the rest are 209 or something. Manhattan, that's freaking awesome, Mooch. How's New York doing these days? We're down to only 80 or 90 deaths a day, which is beyond horrifying, but it's funny what you can accept as being good news because we were getting 800 deaths a day, but it's still constant vigilance because there's still huge numbers of people out there who are sick, and I finally got hold of the greatest invention in the world, dirt cheap. I call them deli gloves, the big, loose, clear plastic gloves, not latex gloves, but big floppy ones that someone, maybe in a cafeteria worker would serve you food if you're in school or something. And they're 2 cents each. And just to not have to wash my hands after going out and getting a package or something, I open up the box, dump out the contents, put the box in recycling, and then just peel off 2 penny gloves as opposed, and the hands are fine as opposed to going through all the washing. Sometimes I don't want to pollute our planet with the plastic gloves. Other times I'm like, oh, I get a food delivery or something, and I just don't want to deal with the washing anymore. And these gloves are just fantastic. 500 of them for $10. And I'm sure if I went to AliExpress or something, I can get them for a lot less. That was off Amazon. ADV has those gloves too. Yeah, because it's just too expensive and too hard to get in and out of. Well, I don't use latex gloves. I like the black nitrile ones. They resist more of the chemicals I use. They seem to be a little more durable. And knowing me with my freaking allergies, I would develop an allergy to latex eventually or something. Justin, thank you, sir, for joining us. And we got a few people here, almost enough. Actually, I haven't vaped today, so I don't have a buffet. It was all just zooming around day. I did have some goodies, though, to show everybody. Um, That's what I forgot to do. Set the phone to silent. So we'll get to hear that ring 4 times. But at least at least I don't have the volume turned up for everyone to hear my messages. See if I can block some of it. Okay. Is it one more? I think it's one more. Matt Williams, I bet a one-bedroom in Manhattan is outrageously expensive. I got lucky. I bought ex-girlfriend of my brother needed to sell now, and this is back when the market was at a nice low point, so I got a fantastic deal on a pre-war Upper West Side Manhattan one bedroom, and I'm really, really happy. It was really good investment. Other name 1000 about that power bank. They claimed 8 phone recharges and it will charge itself in 60 minutes with solar cells on top, allegedly. No, no, no. Yeah, that much solar cell, you'll be lucky if you get, I don't think you'd even get 1 watt out of that. Or less than, it'd be less than a watt. That, no, 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 no. 60 minutes to recharge 8 phone? No, I don't think so. Ruben, hello. Thanks for joining us. It's vapor. I don't wear gloves unless mixing. There we go. Yeah, I don't wear gloves if I head outside because I think that makes you not conscious of the things you're touching and the things you can be spreading around. If you wear gloves, you're still spreading stuff around. It's just not touching you. So I'll just go out without gloves. But if I'm just going out to get mail, get a package, dump the contents out, and come back in, it's like, oh, I gotta COVID wash my hands. What a pain in the butt. And sometimes you just want to put on the two-penny gloves. Nuno, send us cheers from Poland. Actually, Nuno or Nuno? Looks like Nuno. Any news on the Galea charger fail? There's going to be a big, long video. I'm going to actually have to split it into two parts. One video, but I'll say, hey, here's a TLDR of what I know. I'm going to bump into 200 freaking hours, unpaid hours, on this thing, and it could have been made so much easier by Galea. But they have the new test results that they put up to say, hey, why don't we go into it now to say, hey, we're not worried. Look, new test results. Except the new test results only test the S4 charger and this 0.6 amp thing. They talk about 0.6 amps. I'm like, what? Wait, huh? And so I have an S4 here, which I tore down, and I'm trying to figure out where they got this from. And I don't know, and I'll have some conclusions in the video. Thanks very much to Ranger Vapes, who last week really stepped up to the plate with a big super chat donation. I picked up a pair of Galea S2s that I'm doing a little testing and doing a teardown. I just want to see if I can start trying to find out the things that Galea are talking about, what they're referring to, and then just another good 20 hours of research or something I put into international safety standards, which I can use for any charger now. So I think something interesting about the Galea. Actually, I got a question for everybody. Something about them, spectacular bright display. I have to give that to them. I love the display on this thing. You could light up a room at night, so it turns off. You can override and leave it on. But it's interesting, 0% for this charger starts at 3.21 volts. I'm sure they meant 3.2 volts. And that's about where 0% is on a mod. But it's not where 0% is on a battery. Batteries are at 0% at typically 2.5 volts. So which do you like better? Chat, I'm asking you. Do you prefer a charger that would match a regulated mod and say, hey, this is at 0% charge at 3.2 volts, or would you prefer it to actually match the battery and say 0% at 2.5 volts? Now, in the end, I guess it doesn't matter as long as it charges up to 4.2 volts. But I'm curious if there's any thoughts about this. Is this really good? Is this really bad, the 3.2? Or is it just, who the frick cares? As long as it doesn't set my batteries on fire. And with that, I will take a look at chat. Other than 1000, the joys of the Wuhan Red Death. Oh, I'm not going to go into that one. Florida Vapes, good evening. Thanks for joining us. ADV bought a $100 N95 mask. Wow, that sounds like a full respirator. Or I hope you got a full respirator for that. Big Red got a clutch mod 2 weeks ago. I love that mod. Will Lau, how are things, Mooch? Hope you're safe, buddy. Question, I have an S4 charger and it hasn't blown up yet. Why? Because they're not all destined to blow up. Like Firestone tires, Samsung phones, Dreamliner planes, HP and somebody else's laptops. A defect won't mean they'll all blow up. It might never blow up, or it could blow up the next time you use it. A defect means there's potential for any one of them to blow up at any time, which is why the recall gets issued, because they don't know which one it could happen to or when. Dave Hunston got his KN95s and Mike Vapes, $5 each, $50 for 10, $50 for 10. Okay. Yeah, I went to I contacted a friend of mine who contacted in Taiwan, who contacted a friend of his in the UK, who contacted a friend of hers in China, who contacted, I believe, someone else. That was the chain, and we made the arrangements for the masks that I got there. Ah, Red Claw Inshan wears black nitrile gloves when running errands, makes remember not to touch my face. Yeah, that's true. They're so visible. CDC said yesterday that the virus doesn't live very long on hard surfaces. What the fuck? Yeah, I mean, it's all relative, 3 days. And the CDC is the pop music of medical information, pop music version of medical information. You have to understand that it's to the masses. It gets oversimplified. It has to, because most of the people who are consulting the CDC don't want to deal with the details. They just want yes, no, safe, unsafe, good, bad. And so when they say, well, it's a lot, it's not really easy to catch COVID-19, from touching a surface and touching eyes. And that's true compared to inhaling a big cloud, but you can still totally catch it. So it's you have to read between the lines for anything from the CDC. And this has to be the way they do it. If you want the real details, you go to the studies. You find the details. The CDC will not synopsize it, but they'll just crush it down to one-liners for the public, and that leads to a lot of oversimplification, which leads to a lot of, like that 6 foot thing. 6 foot was fine, but anybody who's ever read anything knew, 25 feet is not enough if nobody has masks on. So 6 foot is about all you can get away with telling people to stand apart from each other. So that's the number they used. David Humstead, virus doesn't break down in sunlight instantly, but the heat from it, the ultraviolet radiation has a little bit of effect. The heat from it, the drying out, will do it, but it can still take a while. Don't think it's instantly. That can still take hours, if not longer. Scott Bogfoot, welcome. So nobody has an opinion on 3.2 volts being. Oh, wait, here it is. I just have to learn how to scroll down some. Ryan Boyce, I prefer it match the battery so I knew the real charge, but if it charges the battery properly, no bigger. Battery match, okay, someone else, battery match, Tim Baxter. David Amonet, yeah, I'm not trying to say, Firestone's problem should be split equally with Ford. I'm not trying to lay blame or anything like that. It was just a toss up in the air example. I don't mean to infringe on anyone's personal feelings about things. It was just an example of stuff that's defective. Not who caused it or where the problems came from. William Federal, hey Mooch, thanks for all you do. I have a 4-bay Galea needle charger. Is that one okay? I have no idea. Sorry, no information one way or the other. Nuno, send us. What's the black metal of health information then? I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by black metal. All right, so there's really not a lot of opinion one way. Oh, okay. Jimmy Wolf says mod match 3.2 volts. All right, so a couple of people thought one way or the other. It's fairly evenly split between matching the battery. 2.5 volts should be 0, and the other one. I was really surprised. I think this is the kind of thing I feel should be in the little user manual. I get it. There has to be 9 pages of safety warnings, and then there's like one paragraph of basically saying nothing about how to use it. I think it should be a little bit more in there. It's an opportunity to instruct for those who are willing to read the manual. For anyone who has a question, please, battery space Mooch. Um, it gives me a big red tag there. You don't need a hashtag or an ad symbol. Scott Bogfoot, do you know what the 2019 Nobel Prize winners for chemistry given for lithium-ion battery technology are doing now? John Goodenough. Yeah, John Goodenough and oh, I forgot who the other one was, and I just heard the other name yesterday in the video I was watching about that one nanotechnology engineer who was doing some work for Tesla now. Ms. Hwang, was it Hwang? I forgot. Anyway, I don't know what they're doing now. They're advising the same Ms. Hwang. I'm sure they're still working on that same technology because you can make an announcement, and then you still have 5 to 10 years of work to commercialize that announcement. So the announcement just means this concept, this technology exists. Now we have to turn it into a product. So I'm sure they're doing that. And I bet you they've got 50 other things going on behind the scenes. Different compounds, all kinds of licensing agreements they're going to be talking about constantly. Because you want to make a living out of it. They're not, you don't do this. At least you want to get a grant out of it. Big Red Vapor Channel prefers 2.5 volt for 0% on a charger. Doesn't really matter either way. Red Claw Incheon got an S6 since a couple months daily use, 0% when the mod shows 0. Okay, so it sounds like you're a match for 3.2 volts. Justin Vigors, that is correct. I mean, there's always a potential for any charger to have any issue, but it won't have the same issue as the S4. Thank you for the additional information. Now, whether it's been tested or not, but more will come up in the video. I'm trying to write the notes for the next video for the Leafy thing, and it's just there's so much information, hundreds of pages of test reports, going over 4 years, and what they're saying and don't say, what do I say or don't say, not because I'm hiding anything, it's because how detailed do you want to get? What matters or not? Um, and that can be very different. So I actually got in terms of goodies, I got, let's see, this and this I took care of, post-it notes everywhere. I got these little puppies. Nothing like a magnetic charger to drag your batteries all over the place. So I got these puppies in, the VH4 and the CH2, the new concept chargers from Xtar. And these are the adapters, so you can do 18650s with the adapters in, and these are vertical chargers. Oops. And what's interesting is, where does it focus? There we go. You see that bare spot? That's how the side contacts in the charger make contact with the negative, and then there's a little pin at the bottom with a magnetic ring around it or some magnet somewhere near it that grabs hold of the battery so it doesn't come out, and you got to rotate it into the right position for this spot to line up with a contact, but then you've got the battery. Now, there's a couple of problems. I have to put this in without the adapter. It's surprisingly stable, considering how tall it is, but they sent this over for feedback. Based on the packaging, the instructions, and everything, I think this is going to be a product. And they just said, okay, we're hearing a couple things about this. We're going to turn it into a concept charger and just get feedback and then maybe modify it and then release it a product, of which I give huge, huge kudos. They didn't say, I believe, we've got a bunch of these in the warehouse. We're just going to sell them. And we'll fix it in version 2. In the meantime, we'll get the vaping community to pay for version 1, because we'll get all these monster profits. No, they didn't do that. So that is great because so many companies, I think, know they had problems with their first device or a device they made or something. And like, we got thousands of them. We're going to sell these, pay that off, and then we'll just fix it in the next version because the vaping community will forgive us and buy it. And most of the time we do. Uh, David Humpson says they look sweet if they work well. Yeah, I mean, so far, yeah, Scott Bogfoot, that's my concern. That there's some safety issues with a bare spot on the side of there. I mean, it's like this one, the VH4. I've been running about 14 hours a day, just continuous. I just keep, discharging and recharging the cells, and this runs surprisingly cool. I mean, really surprisingly cool. Now, that can mean either lots of insulating space between something that's incredibly hot and you can't feel the heat, or it can mean it's not getting hot at all. After I finish my testing, I'm going to crack it open. Unfortunately, it looks like it's glued or ultrasonic welded shut. Um, but I'm anxious to see what's inside. And then I'll just do a video with some feedback on the idea. Brilliant innovation. This is innovative as all hell. Biggest innovation in chargers, in years. But is it safe? Could it possibly be safe at some time? And is it an innovation that's needed, or does the innovation give us any advantage over what we have now? And that's important. Again, if you have any questions, please. Battery space Mooch in the front. Vaping Irish, not a fan of those. Seems to me those batteries can be short hazards. Yeah, in a regulated device, those two batteries together, or in a mech, I have some worries. Joel Good asked a good question. Do magnets have any effect on the cell, safety performance, either in the charge or the mod? Not, I've never seen anything that says they could. I can't think of a way it could. There's a steel shell, but everything on the inside of a battery is non-magnetic. So I can't think of a way that it would have an effect on it. I I've just never seen any references one way or the other on there, which makes me think there's no effect. And I think we would have seen something, lots of damaged batteries, from in mods that damage in terms of performance or something like that, or lots of accidents, if there are any kind of issues. Anthony Barron, those batteries just a bit nervous on Megs. I agree. Marty Stein's super chat, $5. Thank you, sir. Here's a little something for keeping us safe. Finally going back to work, so going to join your Patreon as soon as possible. Thank you for your support, and I appreciate that. I hope work goes smoothly and quickly. Scott Bogfoot, a few years back, Duracell had a checker. I remember that on the side of the batteries that you hold to tell you the battery's power status. Did that work? It was liquid crystal. There were little liquid crystal panels. And I don't remember the actual tech, but when you squeezed, I think you squeezed the ends together or you squeezed the side. I remember that. And it would go up. And I guess each liquid crystal had a different voltage threshold in terms of how you mix it up to turn from, opaque or light blocking to light transmitting. So the light would probably go through the liquid crystal panel, hit a reflective backing and come out or not come out. And so it would look black or it look silverish. And so they probably just had a different voltage threshold for each. I think there were, 4 panels going down the side? I remember those. Redclaw, Inchon, I'm using 2 pair of VTC5D for dual battery mods. Weird thing is, he has a feeling the mods show a different percentage than my charger does, inevitably. Absolutely. That's not a weird feeling. I can practically guarantee it. They break in earlier, mod shows 20%, charger shows 0. It just means they have different voltages for 0. The charger might use 3 volts or 2.8 or 3.2 or even 2.5 for 0%. And then your mod typically uses around 3.1, 3.2%, but if it's a DNA mod, it could be set lower or higher. So let's see, if you see 20% on the mod and your charger shows 0, then your charger has a higher voltage for 0 than the mod does, which is rare. I would have thought it was the other way around. But and also they're not very accurate. The mods or the chart. Well, the charges are pretty accurate for voltage. The percentages are useless, more or less. I mean, they can be off 50%, literally 50%. They're great at the two ends, but anything in between, like 20 and 80, they have no bearing on what the actual battery is, because every single battery has a different voltage to a state of charge. 3.6 volts could be 50% on one battery, 40% on another, 56% on a different battery. So the percentages I hate. Just show the voltage. All we have to do is learn 2.5 to 4.2. That's it. Yes, it requires learning. I know not everyone, most people just like percentages, but the percentages are really pretty useless. Maliseason, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Battery space Mooch in the front, so I can definitely see it. Qualcomm QC 2.0 or 3.0. That's a quick charge protocol, like USB-C PD power delivery for everyone else who's listening. Do you have to have these certified chargers in order for like your phone to achieve the fastest charging possible? Or does Anker's own charging tech work the same? As long as it says, if you, let's say, have a QC 3.0 capable phone, as long as you have a QC 3.0 capable charger, and they're not lying to you, which Anker will not, then they'll do it. You'll be able to do the fast charge because they're speaking the same language. They communicate back and forth. They negotiate. That's what they call it. They negotiate a charging current level. Now, if one's QC 2.0 and the other one's QC 3.0, it'll still work, but only at 2.0 charging rate. So you don't need to have a certified charger, but if it's certified by your phone's manufacturer, those are chargers that they've tested that they know won't blow up the phone. They're just trying to keep you away from $3, piece of junk chargers off AliExpress or something like that. But if you go with Anker or Hawke, or certainly one of the big brand names, like Apple or somebody that the same brand name for your phone, then you should have no problem at all. Redclaw Inchon, I do not have those symptoms with VTC5A. In terms of different percentages, well, those close to each other. I don't know what the problem is then. I don't have enough information to be able to figure out what the problem is then. In terms of he's talking about the mismatches in percentages. Send us. Weren't we all taught by that having an exposed side of the cell is a hazard? Yes. Tiny as it may be, care to elaborate? What sorcery is this? Well, that's one of the things I'm going to bring up. Having an exposed side on the cell can be a safety issue for some things. Now, some people go, well, you've got two wraps there. So you've got 5 or 6 thousandths of an inch between the thicknesses of the two wraps holding the batteries apart. Technically, that's correct. And for some people, they may go, that's good enough for me. I'll just keep an eye on them. For other people, may go, whoa, no, that is not good enough for me. No, I'm not accepting that, and that's too much of a risk. And they'll say, I'm never going to use that. But it can be an issue, most definitely. In a mech, it can lead to auto firing or short circuit, depending which way you have the cell. And in a series connected regulated mod, which most are, multiple batteries are connected in series. Yes, you have one battery up and one battery down, but there are mods out there, even though they're in series, both batteries are up. And if they touch, the sides touch, one of those batteries gets short circuited. Your argument is invalid, said a week ago, had to throw away his first pair of LGs, HG2s. Let me know. They both got incredibly hot during charging with 1 amp. No clue why, but they didn't cool down anymore. Don't know. I mean, they could have been fakes. There's always a chance of that. But I think maybe they half-tripped protection circuitry, or some of the spot welds started coming loose from abuse. Yeah, when I say abuse, I don't mean, I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just saying from hard use. Spot welds can start to snap off. There's thermal fatigue as these, there's little tabs of metal that connect the big roll of stuff in the middle of goop and stuff. The little metal tabs are spot weld at the top and bottom of the battery. So as heat up and cool down, that's where the hot spots are. They can actually snap off some of the spot welds. Gary the Great says he absolutely doesn't like those batteries. They are supposed to, I think they're multi-cell rewraps, which is great, but having that exposed side, wow. How far do you go for innovation? But this is why they sent them out for I'm certainly not the only one who has this feedback on the concept. What can they do better? Scott Bogfoot, what and when, in your opinion, was the biggest breakthrough in battery tech? I'd say lead acid, invention of lead acid batteries, and then the invention of lithium-ion batteries. Lead acid batteries were just, it essentially turned batteries into a commodity. They were cheap. For batteries, they were easy to maintain. At that time, they were easy to maintain. You could get tremendous power. You can scale them up. That's why they became the battery for automotive use. And then for lithium-ion, of course, just the fundamental difference in power and energy density, namely what we can pack in. Lithium-ion is what made cell phones and tablets and laptops, smaller laptops, possible compared to the monster nickel metal hydride, 2 pound, 6 cell monsters that clamped down to the back of battery. I don't know if anyone, but 7 pound IBM ThinkPads, 7 pounds for a laptop, they're about that thick back in the 1990s. Remember, I had one of those suckers. Boy, that was a tank to bring to work, the business meetings. I did get also, thanks to da-da, thanks to the wonderfully kind, extraordinary donation from a Patreon patron of mine, Gear Falcon AL88, and got a pair of these in for testing. Now the results, my patrons will see these results probably next week, but they'll go public in a month. That's one of the advantages of being a patron. 90% of my posts and my test results, the videos, they all get to see first. But running this, well, not right now, but I've been running it last 2 days, 14 hours a day, 8 bays, continuously feeding batteries in, then discharging them, feeding them in. And it gets toasty, like all chargers do, but we'll see how it does after 3-4 days of that. I just want to flesh out just the overheating thing. To me, that's one of the weak points for a lot of batteries, a lot of chargers. Brad Palmer, did lead acid or mercury batteries come first? I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know. Mercury batteries typically the little tiny button cells, and those definitely came after lead acid. Because I think lead acids were like turn of the century, turn of the 20th century or something, if not sooner in terms of concepts. Vaping Irish, I could see those batteries, I guess the X-Stars, working okay with a silicone sleeve and a silicone dust cap like you get on USB ports, but that would turn an 18650 into a 2650. Yeah, I mean, if you had, like a 1 millimeter thick wrap, or not even that, even half a millimeter thick, then I can see it. The polycarbonate shrink wrap, and they do make it, polycarbonate shrink wrap, incredibly tough. For that, you need a heat gun to shrink. That kind of thing that you just know is not going to tear easily. Then, okay, I can see that. And that may be the kind of thing they can think of doing. But then how do you get this thing, if let's say it's a half millimeter thick wrap, like you're saying, now the battery's a millimeter wider, and that's a whole bunch of mods it's not going to fit in anymore. Scott Bogfoot, what type of battery cells existed before lead acid? Um, you had, they didn't use lead. What was it? Zinc copper? I'm thinking the first voltaic plate discs from, who was it, Volta? Or was it, I forgot who invented those. And they're experimenting with different acids, and they just took paper or cloth, and you stacked up different discs in a glass jar, and they had the wires coming out of there. I think those were the first cells, just the lab prototypes for a concept for commercial battery or something like that. But I don't know a lot about the early history. I've never studied that. An occasional YouTube video I come in, or an episode of how it's made or something on TV, or now on YouTube. So I'm the wrong person to ask. Sorry. Danny Thompson, hello, Mooch. I caught yours, but put Battery Space Mooch in the front. Justin, if you see anyone asking a question or something, just let them know. Battery Space Mooch in the front. Hope you're okay. I'm okay. Beat. Might be a stupid question. No, no such thing. But what would happen if you the batteries the wrong way round in a stack? I guess you're saying in a Mac, a mech. If let's say you had positives up. If you turn them over and put them positive down. Well, you can get problems where if there's any damage in the wrap, you can cause auto firings or short circuiting depending on which way they go, and if there's damage in the wrap. Always just follow directions for the manufacturer. If they don't tell you, ask them. Better, positive side up or down, because it can matter on whether there's an insulator underneath the top. If it's a hybrid top cap, is there an insulator up on the inside there? A whole bunch of other little things that would take a big list to go through, and it's just better just ask the manufacturer, hey, what should I do? And stick with that, because electrically it makes no difference at all in terms of the power delivered. Anthony Michael C. has a Gear Falcon. Let's see that test result. Well, you can see it a lot sooner if you're a patron. If not, the test will be made public. I don't hide anything. Beto Red, greetings once again, Mister. Greeting, Mister. I charge my LH2s at 300 milliampere hour. Well, I think you mean HG2, and at 300 milliamps. Milliampere hour is an indicator of capacity. Yeah, you're not going to hurt it. Slower can be better. For me, I think anything below about a half an amp, you're really not seeing a difference, but it'll never hurt it, and might possibly help. Certainly 300 milliamps versus 2 amps is a hell of a lot better. Like 300 milliamps versus 500 milliamps, half an amp, I don't think there's much of a difference. But again, if that's a setting and you're doing it overnight in a place that's non-flammable, and just in case something happens overnight, I always recommend staying awake and nearby when you charge. But that can be done. John, sorry if this is asked many times. I only vape low watts, 15 watts or less. If two mods have roughly the same power drain, is there any advantage using a dual battery mod over a single? Well, you'll get roughly twice the vaping time before you need to recharge, because you have 2 times the energy if you have 2 batteries in a device instead of 1. So let's say, if a 1 battery device only lasts you half a day, it probably lasts you longer than that. And then you have to put in another battery. You have to carry a second battery in your pocket anyway, where a 2 battery mod might take you the whole day. Now, if the 1 battery mod already lasts you a full day, then you might go, why should, maybe you carry an extra battery, maybe you don't. Maybe you don't need a 2 battery device. If you're operating at higher power levels, then there can be some differences in terms of efficiency and things like that. Batteries uh, are more efficient. They just run better if you're not using really, really hard. And a two battery device can actually run for longer than two times a one battery device, just because not only do you have two batteries, this is a high power level. Not only do you have two batteries, but they're running more efficiently in the two battery mod, so you get a little extra runtime out of that. Castaway Austin, $5 super chat. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Alexander, put some cells in the Mac. Yeah. Nobody vapes. There's the Baghdad battery, supposedly an ancient battery found in antiquity that's housed in a clay pot. And I think Mythbusters also did the Baghdad battery, and it's perfectly legitimate. Just some copper, some zinc, stick a strip of copper and stick a nail, zinc-plated nail, and a penny in a lemon. Just jam it through the skin of the lemon and put a voltmeter on it, and you'll read a voltage because you have a battery. Two different metals in acid. You can use vinegar. You can use a penny and a galvanized nail or something like that, and you'll get them. So I can totally see. I think Baghdad battery has been proved to exist. Now, can it do anything useful? No, probably not. If you've got 100 of them in series or something, that's where the debate starts. What did they do with them? But thanks for bringing that up, Nobody Vapes. You're right. Yeah, batteries have been around for a very long time. We got about 20 minutes. And I don't know if I can last that long. I have to go to the bathroom very badly. What do you think about using, Gary the Great asks, what do you think about using a single 21700 at 100 watts? Are you really getting 100 watts? Will it do it but drain the battery quicker? Affect cell lifespan? Thoughts, please. Yeah, a good 21700 can deliver 100 watts. Thing is, for how long? If you only get 3 puffs out of it before the mod goes, oh, too much voltage sag, I'm going to give you 90 watts, or some mods will just go, nope, I'm not even going to turn on because the voltage sag is too great. So that's a big problem on there. 100 watts is huge, even for a Samsung 30T. It's not going to last very long. It can do it. You're drawing about, whatever, 35, 33 amps or something like that. So a 35 amp Samsung 30T, you're within its ratings. It's just not going to run for very long. Now, if you have a Samsung 30T, you'll probably get around the expected cell life at 100 watts. You know, 400 cycles or something like that, to more like 300 cycles. But if you've got an LG HG2 or something in there, so, or a Samsung 30Q, a 15, 20 amp battery that's screaming for its very life because you're using it so hard, you're really damaging that cell every time you pulse it that hard. And you're going to get much shorter overall cell life. Much better go to a two battery mod, like two LG HG2s could barely work at 100 watts, 50 watts each. It's still a lot. Better to have a three battery mod, or to use something like a VTC5. Two of those, 50 watts each, that's okay. Not really long running time, but much better than if you're using like a 15 amp Samsung 30Q. I hope that answered your question. Other name 1000, Battery Mooch. Maybe you and the history guy could collab on battery history tech. I know so little about it though. I'm so much about what do we have now? What are we working on and developing now? I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to the history thing. It fascinates me, but it's just with all the other things I want to learn, to go and take the time to learn about that. But thank you for the thoughts on that. Faceless Vapor, welcome and hello. John, Battery Mooch, many thanks. Good to catch a live show again. I'm glad you're able to join us. Alexander, thank you very much. Stepping up to the plate, maybe some cells or a charger, about 20 US dollars. Alexander, I forgot what the currency is. SEK. It sounds like a krona, but I don't remember from where. My apologies. Um, Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's a huge list of things I want to get. I don't want to spend anyone's money on Galeazes anymore. So I don't know if the AL88 turns out well, maybe I'll start getting some funds together for a pair of 44s. Or if I have problems with overheating on the 88, maybe, but I like everything else, I'll buy a pair of 44s just to test those because I know that hopefully they won't get as hot. OMG Stav, SEK also 50. Thank you very much. I have to find out what that denomination is. What are your thoughts on series build decks becoming more common with the actual Pro, which I have and I need to use, and Atomizer plus V2? I have no problem with it. I never had a problem with series mechs. And certainly you can use a series deck unregulated. It makes no difference. It's whatever resistance you have. You can have a series deck with 2 ohms or zero point 0.2 ohms. Same thing. Well, 2 ohms on a parallel deck would be pretty hard to do, but I suppose it's possible. 38 gauge Canthal or something, 25 wraps or whatever it is. It won't be that, but you get my point. So I certainly don't have any problems with it. I never had any problem with Series Max. It's easier to get in trouble if you don't know what you're doing because there's a lot more power available if the batteries get short circuited. So I ask that only more experienced vapors do that. But for regulated, no problem. The risks are the same as they always were with a series deck on a regulated mod. Vaping Irish. He has the tip of the day. Remind yourself to visit the restroom before going live. And actually, I did about half hour beforehand, but I've been drinking so much water today because I was sweating so much from just doing stuff in the closets, and I think it's just all caught up to me. And also at my age, there's just not enough room in there anymore, I think. Ah, Swedish. That's what the K is. Okay. Justin, yes, the Samsung 30T can do 100 watts, but your vaping time will be short. Okay, Gary the Great, it did answer. Thank you. I was asking because I've been hearing about a DNA 100C. Yes, that is the latest rumor, and wanted your thoughts to help me decide. I'm hoping someone does a DNA 100C with dual 18650 or even dual 21700s. Extra battery life. Something that might use a DNA 75C. Well, most of those I think all of those are single cell. But when you get up to 100, for me, you want to start thinking about two cells capable, at least two 18650s, if not dual 21700s. So that gets big again. Once you go up to single cell 100, then you're really limiting Molicell P42A, Samsung 40Ts, 21700s only, I recommend. VTC 5D at 100 watts, that's not going to run a long time. Or Molicell P26A. Swedish Krona. Thank you, Alexander. Christoph, is making a full cycle going to reduce capacity of the battery? Is half cycle better? Yeah, but we almost always do half cycles or three-quarter cycles. It's much better to go like 20% to 80%, just up and down a little, than to go 0 to 100, 0 to 100. If you did something like 25 to 75, that's only half a cycle. That's 50% of a different, 75% minus 25%. So you're just running it in the middle half of the 0 to 100. So you'll get, just from that, you'll go from 250 to 500 cycles. And by never being fully charged or fully discharged, you're also getting more life on top of that. So you could get 1,000 cycles, maybe more, out of the battery. Now, by only discharging down to 3.2 volts, which is what we do for most regulated devices and most mech users, if you put your battery, if you're a mech user and your battery goes in the charger at 3.5, 3.6, you're probably vaping it down to 3.1, 3.2. The voltage comes back up again. It's just that battery sag to 3.1, 3.2 comes back up to 3.5, 3.6 at its resting voltage, its true voltage, once it's had a chance to just sit down. So from that, we're already being a little bit nice with our batteries, but we use them so hard that's abusive. And a lot of times we just keep them fully charged, and that's abusive. So it's always a trade-off in terms of that thing. But like for my cell phone, I try to keep it 20% to 80%. And I don't think I've ever had a battery for tablets and cell phones that lasted me less than 5 years because I keep it at narrow range. But I work at home, and it's easier for me to keep cell phone and tablets charged. It's not very convenient for a lot of people to do that. Alexander Barron, I'm going for 40T in series at 0.35 to zero point 0.4 ohms, 59% battery headroom. How would 30T compare? How much current are you drawing there? Above about 25 amps, I recommend the 30T. It's just more efficient with that kind of power draw. Under 25 amps, Molicell P42A, I'd recommend, and then fairly close behind that, the Samsung 40T. Not much of a difference between those two, but above 25 amps, stick to the 30T. It's going to have longer overall life. It's going to hit harder for the first 1/3 anyway, and but below 25 amps, you can get a little extra capacity and overall runtime out of the P42A or the Samsung 40T. Beta Red, I have another question. The LG HT2 batteries support 60 watts each. That'll be about the 20 amp rating. I used in a regulated mod in series, I can reach up to 100. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's series or parallel in a regulated mod. Series or parallel batteries in regulated mods, it's the same current per battery. Two batteries at 100 watts in a series mod, 50 watts per battery. Two batteries at 100 watts in a parallel connected regulated mod, 50 watts per battery. So it's the same current in either one. Yeah, so it'd be, you can do, technically, before you hit the 20 amp rating of an LG HD2, since it's 60 watts each, add up the wattage for the number of batteries. Two battery mod, 120 watts, three battery mod, 180 watts before you hit that 20 amp rating. Doesn't mean it's safe, there's no such thing, but it means you haven't hit the rating. Fog Dog. Is there a noticeable difference between copper and silver for the bus and a box mech like the clutch is similar? No, no. It'll be the gauge, how thick it is and stuff like that. There's only a 7 to 10% difference maximum between silver and copper. So there can only be a 7 to 10% difference in the voltage drop within the metal itself, not the connections at both ends that are much bigger voltage drops, not the threads, the contact point, everything else that has voltage drops, and then the huge voltage sag in the battery itself. So that 7 to 10% just in that piece of metal turns into 1 or 2% maybe overall in terms of the power hit for a mech, silver versus copper, and you're just not going to notice a difference for that. Now, I think silver is easier for maintenance, so I recommend it, and you get a bonus, but it's harder to machine, it's more expensive, so some people don't like to use silver because it's expensive and hard to machine, and you don't see a lot of difference a lot of times. Scott Bogfoot, do diesel electric trains store power or just use it as they make it? Well, they've got some monster batteries there, but I think that's just for starting the diesel engine and for maybe smoothing out power. A lot of them use supercapacitors now for smoothing out the power. So the storage is there, I believe it's just for starting the diesel. And then they generate what they use once rolling, and that gets put back in the batteries. I don't remember how they work well enough. Good question. I don't have a good answer for you. OMG Stav, I'm thinking more about the fact you can use two low coils and boost them up to higher ohms and therefore lower amp draw. Doesn't that make it safer with a series deck? Well, I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a series deck or parallel deck. The resistance you're using, OMG Stav, is what's important. And it can be, you can have 2 ohms or 0.03 ohms with a parallel deck, and you can have 2 ohms or 0.03 ohms with a series deck. Now, potentially with existing coils, with a series deck, yes, because you're doubling the resistance, you can have less current flow, and then that matters on a mech. And a regulated device will just boost the voltage up high enough to push enough current through the coils anyway, for whatever power setting you have. So for there, it makes less of a difference. Nick McMahon, $2. Thank you for the super chat. What is the most watts out of a single 18650? Depends on 18650. For some of them are rated 2 amps. That'd be, 5 or 6 watts. For a Samsung 20S rated at 30 amps, that's a 90 watt rating. It won't last long at 90 watts, but you can run it at 90 watts. What you do is you take the continuous current rating, multiply it by 3, like the LG HG2 20 amp rating. You can go to about 60 watts before you hit that 20 amp rating. I always recommend a little bit lower than that, of course. You're running them hard at the rating. So I recommend, 75% of that. But some people are like, no, I don't care how long the battery lasts. And you can run it hard. Hopefully that answered your question. About 3-4 more minutes. Fog Dog, you're welcome. Also, Ulight, what is the best way to cool the e-bike battery pack if you were to build a custom e-bike pack? I wouldn't try anything like liquid cooling. That's a nightmare and something that's getting bounced all over the place. And what if you take a fall? I would design a pack that didn't need cooling, number one, if I could, or kept the cells under 45 degrees no matter what, or air cooling. Now, air cooling, of course, messes with water resistance. So most people like to seal their e-bike battery pack so the water stays out of it, which makes a lot of sense. So you've got to balance, air cooling. So maybe you have to have channels. Maybe all the cells are sealed, but you have, metal tubes passing through the pack that all the cells touch, that the metal tubes are sealed from the rest of the cells. The water passes through the tube, the air passes through the tube, but that's still sealed. All the cells are still sealed. Or you can try paraffin. Namely, you build your pack. Now you pour paraffin into all the empty spaces. That paraffin helps transfer the heat out of the cells, um, and makes it to the outside of the pack. And then you wrap the outside of the pack in, you have metal plates on the outside of the pack, wherever you can, to help get rid of the heat. That's one way of doing it. And the paraffin's terrific because it's a phase change material. It absorbs and absorbs and absorbs heat very, very well until it transitions to a liquid. And then you lose some of that, but it's a tremendous heat absorber. And then it can be used to pass that heat outside the pack if you have enough surface area on the outside. Look up phase change materials for cooling. But I would love to do an e-bike battery pack. Just like saying, how can I cool it but keep water from screwing it up when you're tearing down some road someplace at 50 kilometers an hour? Scott Bodfoot, thank you for all you do for us. You're very welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us tonight. And figure 1 or 2 more minutes because none of the vape show occasionally likes to start early. Okay, Shadok and Mooch. LGHG2 is 15 amps. LG states 20, but without temperature limitation. All my data sheets say it's rated at 20 amps. I believe you're referring to the Samsung 30Q and the Sony Murata VTC6, which are rated at 15 amps and then have temperature limitations above that. But the LG HG2 is rated at 20 amps in the LG datasheet. I don't think I'm wrong about that, but certainly let me know if I am. And I think we're just about there. A bunch of comments, no questions. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This was awesome. It helped perk me back up. I got to show off some new toys and stuff here. We'll see what what I come up the next update for the Galea situation. If I can get it down from 50 pages of notes to something I can present without everyone going, "Oh, the hell with this," and turning it off. And thank you for joining us, everyone. Stay safe, stay sane, and hope to catch you next week. Take care.